After her mother's death, Baek Soo-jung's father raised her and her brother alone. Baek Soo-jung studied hard, aiming to enter a good university. However, some girls always mocked her family, deliberately damaging her umbrella on rainy days and vandalizing it. When Baek Soo-jung found her umbrella ruined, she retaliated by throwing the girls' books downstairs, standing up against those who maligned her. During a holiday, Baek Soo-jung came home to find her brother gaming all night. She angrily grabbed his hair, and he explained with tears that if his gaming rank were too low, his classmates would look down on him. Knowing the pain of being despised, Baek Soo-jung didn't want her brother to feel friendless and lonely. She sat at the gaming desk, vowing to help her brother reach the top level. When Baek Soo-jung entered the game, she was about to kill a dire wolf to gain power, but a player named Black Flame Dragon killed it first. Annoyed, she accused him of invading her territory and mocked him for not using honorifics, assuming he was a young student. Black Flame Dragon retorted that he was 22 and deserved to be called brother. Before their argument could be resolved, a pack of wolves suddenly surrounded them. In an urgent situation, they looked at each other and jointly fought off the wolves. As the last wolf lunged at Baek Soo-jung, Black Flame Dragon protected her. They then teamed up to defeat the Great Red Wolf, completing the mission. After facing a worthy opponent, the two made peace and developed a mutual respect, forming an alliance. Black Flame Dragon took Baek Soo-jung to meet 3 other clan members who were impressed by their teamwork. If Baek Soo-jung were a girl, they joked, the two could marry on the spot. Baek Soo-jung hurriedly clarified that she was a girl using her brother's male account and identity. Her game name was Strawberry. The others teased that they couldn't marry in the game but could date in real life, which embarrassed both. They went to the riverside to skip stones. Black Flame Dragon asked why Baek Soo-jung used her brother's name in the game. She confessed she wanted to level up her brother's account to avoid mockery. Since their mother died and their father was busy with work, she felt responsible for taking care of her brother. Black Flame Dragon sympathized with her situation and promised to look after her in the game, acknowledging that even the strongest feel lonely. Baek Soo-jung appreciated his reliability, having always wanted a brother. Now, Black Flame Dragon fulfilled that dream. She asked if he had siblings, and he revealed he was an only child with deceased parents. Baek Soo-jung was moved by his even tougher life story, and they promised to rely on each other. When logging off, Baek Soo-jung reluctantly made a pact with Black Flame Dragon to meet online every day at 8 p.m. After that incident, the two began communicating more frequently. Besides gaming, they added each other as online friends. After the new year, their gaming clan agreed to meet in person. Baek Soo-jung dressed up to meet the much-anticipated Black Flame Dragon. Upon reaching the agreed location, 3 other clan members quickly appeared. It was their first face-to-face meeting, yet there was no awkwardness, and they soon spoke freely. Black Flame Dragon, however, did not show up. When the doorbell finally rang, a young, handsome boy entered. Baek Soo-jung excitedly stood up, staring at him. He introduced himself as Black Flame Dragon. Baek Soo-jung saw a boy who looked like a middle schooler and couldn't associate him with the cool and composed Black Flame Dragon. The group moved from the coffee shop to a karaoke bar where Black Flame Dragon sang and danced, accidentally tossing his wig into Baek Soo-jung's lap. Unable to tolerate it any longer, Baek Soo-jung angrily called him a fraud. Black Flame Dragon followed her out, admitting he was only 15, a middle school student who lied about being 22 so as not to be looked down upon by Baek Soo-jung. However, he believed that age and name were not important as long as their hearts connected. He then knelt, pulling a key from his neck to confess his feelings, surrounded by onlookers. Baek Soo-jung's classmates also passed by, heckling her to accept him. Embarrassed, she lashed out, criticizing his beggar-like appearance and terrible singing. Black Flame Dragon ran away crying, only to be carried off by bodyguards to a cram school. This fantasy of a perfect first love turned into a dark history. From this experience, Baek Soo-jung learned that relying on others only led to greater falls. She could only depend on herself. 6 years later, Baek Soo-jung became a team leader at Yongsheng department store. Seeing a supervisor openly harass a female coworker, she broke his arm. When a new supervisor smoked in the meeting room against regulations, she used a fire extinguisher to force him to stop, leading to the departure of 3 supervisors. Employees celebrated, wondering who the next unfortunate person would be. Unknown to everyone, the former Black Flame Dragon, Ban Joo-yeon, the grandson of the store's owner and future heir, was sent by his grandmother to gain experience. Kwon In-kyung conveyed the grandmother's demands for him to always maintain a perfect image and avoid actions detrimental to the family's reputation, ultimately sacrificing any private life that could harm his heir status. Ban Joo-yeon, unwilling to give up his life, often sneaked out to nightclubs. One phone call snapped him back to reality, demanding he see his grandmother. While reaching for his phone, he accidentally rear-ended the car ahead, which happened to be Baek Soo-jung's. Remembering his grandmother's expectations, he hesitated to exit the car, fearing damage to Yongshang department store's image. Baek Soo-jung, furious, banged on his window, demanding he get out. Reluctantly, Ban Joo-yeon exited and recognized Baek Soo-jung's face, feeling a sense of déjà vu. However, to Baek Soo-jung, this seemed like a poor attempt at flirting. She ordered him not to harbor inappropriate thoughts and to focus on resolving the accident. Ban Joo-yeon handed her his lawyer's business card, urging her to contact the lawyer. Baek Soo-jung, furious, tore up the card and instructed an employee to drive the car away. She then turned and got into Ban Joo-yeon's car, not giving him a chance to escape. It was only when the car stopped at the hospital that she realized her actions might have been inappropriate. However, by the time she hesitated, Ban Joo-yeon had already entered the hospital. Inside, Ban Joo-yeon found an employee's grandmother who was attending the funeral. Together, they comforted the bereaved family. Seeing a crying boy reminded him of his own father's funeral, where he was just a child, and his grandmother blamed him for his father's death, resenting him for causing her son's death. Ban Joo-yeon then arrived at Yongshang department store to officially take over as the boss. Before heading to his office, he made an incognito inspection. Unaware of this, Baek Soo-jung complained in the elevator about her car being scratched the previous day, regretting not punching Ban Joo-yeon right then. Her rant was overheard by Ban Joo-yeon, who was in the back of the elevator. He immediately recorded her voice, noting that an employee was causing a disturbance in a public place and needed re-education on manners. Later at the restaurant, Ban Joo-yeon overheard Baek Soo-jung and her colleagues discussing the new boss. Baek Soo-jung complained that the HR system failed to select a good boss, leading to the position always being filled by terrible men. Ban Joo-yeon recorded this too, noting the blatant defamation that could harm the company's atmosphere. Unbeknownst to Baek Soo-jung, she was already on a blacklist. As the new boss entered the office, she, hoping to improve relations, went to greet him. She accidentally walked in on Ban Joo-yeon changing clothes and saw a dragon tattoo on his back. Shocked, just as she was about to scream, Ban Joo-yeon grabbed her wrist and covered her mouth. They recognized each other as the parties involved in the recent car accident. Ban Joo-yeon demanded that Baek Soo-jung forget the accident and remember that they had never met outside the company. Baek Soo-jung nodded repeatedly, promising never to mention the incident again. Despite her promise, Ban Joo-yeon still considered her a top security risk. At a staff meeting, he warned her in front of everyone that unlike previous bosses, if there were conflicts between them, Baek Soo-jung would be the one to leave the company. Kwon In-kyung was impressed by Ban Joo-yeon's strong presence at the meeting and thoughtfully brought him a cup of espresso, not knowing that Ban Joo-yeon actually preferred sweets. Claiming to love espresso was just to maintain his professional image. During lunch, Ban Joo-yeon stood in front of a beverage shop wanting to buy a chocolate milk. This was witnessed by Baek Soo-jung, who was eager to improve their relationship. She quickly approached to offer buying his favorite sweets. Baek Soo-jung's repeated near revelations of his identity made her a significant risk. To ensure his hidden traits remained undiscovered, Ban Joo-yeon decided it was necessary to eliminate the threat posed by Baek Soo-jung. Since then, Ban Joo-yeon started to deliberately make Baek Soo-jung's job difficult, hoping she would resign on her own. However, Baek Soo-jung excelled at her work and overcame every challenge. After work, she went to dinner with colleagues who advised her not to confront Ban Joo-yeon. Just as they were about to reveal Ban Joo-yeon's background to her, he suddenly entered, complaining that they didn't invite him to the meal. To improve relations, Baek Soo-jung proactively grilled meat and poured drinks for Ban Joo-yeon, but the evening turned into a heavy drinking contest. Both were determined not to lose, And eventually, Baek Soo-jung got Ban Joo-yeon drunk. He endlessly asked for chocolate milk. When Ban Joo-yeon woke up covered in chocolate milk stains and saw the empty boxes on the floor, he remembered asking Baek Soo-jung for milk the previous night. At work, he overheard Baek Soo-jung sharing the story of his drunken state with colleagues. Feeling his pride hurt, he lost control and mocked Baek Soo-jung, calling her a worm and weed, claiming he spared her only because he didn't want to dirty his hands. He warned her not to overestimate herself. Insulted, Baek Soo-jung stormed into his office and yelled at him. The situation escalated, and colleagues had to pull her out. Kwon In-kyung believed that since Ban Joo-yeon was publicly challenged, the only solution was for Baek Soo-jung to resign voluntarily. Otherwise, any report of the incident could be interpreted as workplace bullying by Ban Joo-yeon. After calming down, Ban Joo-yeon also reflected on his excessive behavior. Colleagues comforted Baek Soo-jung and informed her of Ban Joo-yeon's real identity as the sole grandson of the chairman and the future heir of Yongshang department store. Startled by this revelation and eager to secure her job, Baek Soo-jung decided to take the initiative. She sought to find leverage over Ban Joo-yeon to prevent him from firing her. After work, Baek Soo-jung secretly followed Ban Joo-yeon and saw him entering a public restroom with a suitcase. When he re-emerged dressed in a youthful, eccentric style, completely unlike his serious business attire, she was shocked. She followed him to a nightclub and saw him jumping joyfully to rock music, completely overturning her previous perception of him. Baek Soo-jung took photos and sent them to Ban Joo-yeon, hoping to use them as bargaining chips for negotiation. Surprisingly, Ban Joo-yeon quickly approached her for a face-to-face discussion. They met at a fast food restaurant downstairs. Ban Joo-yeon looked longingly at the milk tea and hamburger on the table, but restrained himself to maintain his image. Getting straight to the point, he agreed no longer to target Baek Soo-jung for removal, but instead to place her under surveillance and protection. The condition was that Baek Soo-jung immediately delete the photos and be at his beck and call. Focused solely on keeping her job, Baek Soo-jung quickly signed the agreement. Baek Soo-jung soon realized that Ban Joo-yeon's demands went beyond what was initially agreed. Whether dining with colleagues or eating alone, Ban Joo-yeon would summon her and even assign her meaningless tasks like shredding paper. Baek Soo-jung was confused. She had simply become aware of Ban Joo-yeon's private hobbies, which were harmless and not scandalous enough to make social news like those of other chaebols. She didn't understand why Ban Joo-yeon felt the need to keep them secret. Ban Joo-yeon explained that such leisure activities were unnecessary for an heir like him, just as he couldn't grasp why Baek Soo-jung was so dedicated to her work. Baek Soo-jung replied that it was her way of life, without mentioning that she once saw Black Flame Dragon in the game as her first love, and had hoped to depend on someone else for the first and last time. After being disillusioned, she decided never to rely on others again and to handle everything on her own. They didn't understand each other's views, but agreed to respect each other's ways. Baek Soo-jung had a tough day shredding papers and was looking forward to the end of her workday. However, Ban Joo-yeon wasn't ready to let her go and took her to a clothing store to pick out clothes for himself. After finally choosing the right outfit, he asked Baek Soo-jung to try on a dress. When she came out dressed, Ban Joo-yeon was stunned by her beauty outside of work. Ban Joo-yeon took Baek Soo-jung to a dinner to meet clients. Some chaebol heirs saw Ban Joo-yeon and started whispering disparagingly. They ridiculed him for not fitting in, mentioning his time in the USA where he neither drank alcohol nor gambled, and noted his lack of female companionship unlike them, who were surrounded by women. They even tried to find a woman for him, which Ban Joo-yeon firmly rejected, saying that he found the pleasures of alcohol, women, and gambling superficial. One of the chaebol heirs, angered by the rebuttal, stepped forward to confront him. Meanwhile, Baek Soo-jung was being harassed by another unknown chaebol heir at the poolside. He grabbed her wrist, attempting to lead her away. Baek Soo-jung resisted firmly and kicked him. The chaebol heir, not taking the rejection well, uttered offensive words and raised his hand to her. At that crucial moment, Ban Joo-yeon arrived just in time, subdued the chaebol heir, and pushed him into the pool. Then he elegantly turned around and gently took Baek Soo-jung's hand. When they left, it started raining heavily outside. Baek Soo-jung's stomach grumbled, and Ban Joo-yeon took her to a fast food restaurant. There, They had a promotion offering a free toy with the meal. Seeing this, Ban Joo-yeon asked Baek Soo-jung to take her food to go, not wanting her to see his childish desire for the toy. The next day, Baek Soo-jung returned the skirt she wore the previous night. Ban Joo-yeon scolded her, saying it was common sense to wash worn clothes before returning them. After his remark, he scanned all the employees, feeling they all needed etiquette training. Baek Soo-jung was upset, but agreed to take the skirt back, wash it, and return it. Back in his office, Ban Joo-yeon remembered how stunning Baek Soo-jung looked in the skirt. He had scolded her because he thought she looked good in it and indirectly wanted to give it to her. Baek Soo-jung didn't understand him and complained to her colleagues that Ban Joo-yeon lacked manners. Just then, Ban Joo-yeon appeared at the door. She quickly explained that the one lacking manners was not Ban Joo-yeon, but herself. During a branch visit, Ban Joo-yeon accurately pointed out the problems. Baek Soo-jung admired his precision. She noticed Baek Soo-jung looking at a store and excitedly explained that its sunglasses were his favorite brand, worn by his favorite band's lead singer. He then showed her the sunglasses case he carried. Baek Soo-jung explained she was looking at a slightly crooked letter on the sign. As she went to inform the staff, a customer argued with a clerk over the expensive repair cost. Ban Joo-yeon, upset that someone insulted his favorite item, snatched the sunglasses and declared that those who don't appreciate their value shouldn't own them. He threw the sunglasses out, put on a new pair, and posed in front of a model's photo. Baek Soo-jung didn't understand his bizarre actions and hurriedly calmed the customer, convincing him to buy a new pair of sunglasses. When the customer put them on, Ban Joo-yeon was shocked to realize it was his favorite band's lead singer, unrecognizable without makeup. Baek Soo-jung, seeing his fanboy moment, got the singer's autograph on his glasses case. Ban Joo-yeon was overjoyed. Baek Soo-jung admired how passionately he loved something and didn't think his interests affected his eligibility as an heir. For the first time, someone understood and supported his hobbies, which moved Ban Joo-yeon. He then pulled Baek Soo-jung aside, cautioning her about the fountain, bringing them closer in an ambiguous atmosphere. Back at the company, in front of director Kwon, Ban Joo-yeon admitted Baek Soo-jung's strong work capabilities. Baek Soo-jung also praised Ban Joo-yeon's decisiveness and leadership to her colleagues, acknowledging him as a qualified boss. Baek Soo-jung worked late. Ban Joo-yeon awkwardly told her he wanted to gift her a dress because it looked good on her. After speaking, Ban Joo-yeon carried a signed sunglasses case to his secret base. His friend Kim Shin-won visited, and he casually placed the case aside. Kim Shin-won slept with a woman he had only met twice, feeling an initial spark. He asked Ban Joo-yeon if he believed in fate, reminding Ban Joo-yeon of his first love. He thought they were meant to be, but Baek Soo-jung found it utterly disgusting, a dark part of his past and a heartache. The woman with Kim Shin-won was Seo Ha-jin, who had played games with Ban Joo-yeon years ago and was now a longtime friend of Baek Soo-jung. Kim Shin-won was excessively gentle with every woman. His ex-girlfriend couldn't stand his behavior and broke up with him at Seo Ha-jin's restaurant. Witnessing this, Seo Ha-jin comforted Kim Shin-won with food, which he praised. He revisited and taught Seo Ha-jin how to take good photos for promotion. Their fingers touched during the lesson, sparking a strong attraction. Seo Ha-jin bluntly asked if he wanted to sleep with her, and they did. After Kim Shin-won left, Ban Joo-yeon relaxed at the secret base, recalling Baek Soo-jung's words about pursuing what one loves, filling him with satisfaction. He logged into Black Flame Dragon's account to contact Seo Ha-jin, learning she had opened a new restaurant. He immediately sent expensive opening gifts. Baek Soo-jung noticed their value and asked Seo Ha-jin when she had made a wealthy friend. Seeing Black Flame Dragon's signature, she could not accept that Seo Ha-jin was still in touch with him, as it was her shameful past. Seo Ha-jin explained they only contacted occasionally. If Baek Soo-jung was unhappy, she could throw the gifts away. Baek Soo-jung did not want to waste good items and instructed Seo Ha-jin to sell them. At work, Baek Soo-jung ran into Ban Joo-yeon in the elevator and was curious about his watch. She leaned in to look, realizing too late they were too close, just as the elevator doors opened. Kwon In-kyung saw this, and Baek Soo-jung hurried out. She noticed a pink toy on the ground. Kwon In-kyung inspected it and asked whose it was. Ban Joo-yeon turned pale, claimed an emergency at home, and rushed back to check the toy box, finding one missing. Painful memories surfaced in Ban Joo-yeon's mind. He was late for his parents' memorial service, and his grandmother had people search his room and found many cherished toys. She scolded him, blaming him for his parents' deaths, and accused him of not repenting. She then ordered the toys to be burned, including dolls his parents had given him. Despite his pleas, they were all burned in vain. At the company, when he saw a doll, he thought his secret was exposed again, so he rushed back to check. He then found the missing doll under a cabinet. The doll at the company wasn't his. Relieved it was just a false alarm, he returned to the office. He overheard colleagues guessing who owned the doll and criticizing the owner as childish. Seeing Baek Soo-jung among them, he got angry, thinking she was two-faced, and demanded she return the skirt or pay for it. Baek Soo-jung had already sold the skirt and urgently contacted the buyer to negotiate a return and refund. The buyer was unhappy with her actions and blocked her. Meanwhile, Ban Joo-yeon bought a new set of equipment and was relaxing in his secret base when a circuit malfunctioned. He looked for a nearby hardware store for repair and chose the one owned by Baek Soo-jung's father. Learning the address was too far, her father thought of refusing, but Baek Soo-jung, hearing the offer was 5 times the usual rate, quickly took the job and went instead of her father. Ban Joo-yeon, hiding in his car, sent messages directing Baek Soo-jung to the entrance of his secret base. Watching her on the surveillance, he found her silhouette familiar. Baek Soo-jung saw the signed glasses case and realized she was at Ban Joo-yeon's house. She called out his name over the phone. Ban Joo-yeon, recognizing her face, rushed out of the car to stop her from opening the door, but it was too late. As she pressed the button, the door to Ban Joo-yeon's secret base slowly opened. To hide his true nature, he lied that it was his nephew's room and asked her to leave immediately. Baek Soo-jung insisted on completing her task and fixed the faulty circuit, restoring the lights and music. Ban Joo-yeon, unable to resist, followed the rhythm. Baek Soo-jung instantly knew this was indeed his room. To confirm her suspicion, she casually pulled out a record from the cabinet. Ban Joo-yeon hurried to stop her, then ended up explaining the record's release year himself. His involuntary actions revealed his secret. He thought Baek Soo-jung might use this information against him, but she said it helped her understand him better. As Baek Soo-jung stepped back, she almost tripped. Ban Joo-yeon quickly caught her by the waist. Close together, they stared into each other's eyes, each heart racing. Baek Soo-jung was preparing to leave and mentioned she would return the money for the dress in a few days. Ban Joo-yeon asked discontentedly why she sold the gift he gave her. Only then did Baek Soo-jung realize that Ban Joo-yeon had intended the dress as a heartfelt gift. Before she could respond, she received a call from the hospital informing her that her father had fallen and was in the hospital with a fracture. Concerned she might be too distraught to drive safely, Ban Joo-yeon offered to take her to the hospital and arranged a VIP room for her father, explaining it was a company benefit for employees' families to ease her worry. Baek Soo-jung was touched by this unexpected kindness from Ban Joo-yeon. After sending Ban Joo-yeon away, Baek Soo-jung sat alone in the corridor, recalling her mother's death in a hospital and feeling an instinctual fear of hospitals. Though her father's injury wasn't severe, she couldn't help feeling sad. Ban Joo-yeon returned with a gift for the sick, but seeing Baek Soo-jung crying, he didn't approach. Instead, he left the gift at the nurse's station and texted her to pick it up. Later, her brother took over caring for their father, and Baek Soo-jung went to Ban Joo-yeon's house to retrieve a toolkit she had left there. As she was about to leave, her car broke down. Ban Joo-yeon insisted she get out of the car and immediately take it for repair. Baek Soo-jung wanted to manage, but Ban Joo-yeon, whose parents had died in a car accident, blocked the car door and firmly demanded it be sent to a repair center, not allowing any safety risks around him. The car couldn't be fixed quickly, so Ban Joo-yeon provided Baek Soo-jung with a new car. When she hesitated to accept it, he claimed he was lending it in his name, and she could return it once her car was repaired. Baek Soo-jung still found it excessive and said she could use public transportation. Ban Joo-yeon whispered in her ear, hoping to show a compassionate and approachable leadership style, leaving her no choice but to drive the new car home. Ban Joo-yeon and Kwon In-kyung went on a business trip. A young boy accidentally knocked Ban Joo-yeon's tablet to the ground, containing important data. Luckily, there was a backup on the company computer. Kwon In-kyung wanted to call the secretary to send the files, but Ban Joo-yeon suddenly stopped him, claiming he had a backup on his phone. He then rushed to the bathroom to call Baek Soo-jung, asking her to send the files from his office computer. Baek Soo-jung didn't understand his secrecy until she needed to enter the startup password. Embarrassed, Ban Joo-yeon admitted the password was, "I am the devil." Later, Baek Soo-jung couldn't help but laugh when seeing Ban Joo-yeon, surprised his computer password was so quirky. She noticed he never drank the company's beverages and thoughtfully prepared his favorite chocolate milk. Ban Joo-yeon drank it like a content child. He thought he'd be annoyed by Baek Soo-jung discovering his secrets, but now felt having someone know them wasn't so bad, because sharing them felt wonderful. Baek Soo-jung remembered sharing secrets with Black Flame Dragon, who had been a source of comfort when she missed her mother. She had once relied on Black Flame Dragon emotionally, but everything changed after they met. Kim Shin-won longed to see Seo Ha-jin every day and realized he had fallen for her. He confessed his feelings, hoping she would date him. Seo Ha-jin immediately refused, explaining she had gone through a failed marriage and was not considering dating. After closing her restaurant, Seo Ha-jin went to eat with Baek Soo-jung near the company. They coincidentally met Ban Joo-yeon on the street. Seo Ha-jin only knew him by his gaming name and blurted out, "Black Flame Dragon." Before studying abroad in the US, Ban Joo-yeon had met Seo Ha-jin once and asked her to pretend not to know him in public because he had a mission that required him to sever ties with his past. Seo Ha-jin, not wanting to lose her gaming partner, hoped he could help with guild missions when available. They continued to stay in touch intermittently. Ban Joo-yeon and Seo Ha-jin sat back to back, communicating through headphones. He suspected Seo Ha-jin knew his identity and was following him. Learning she was just nearby for errands, he temporarily trusted her but insisted that she must act as if she didn't know him if they met again. Right after Ban Joo-yeon left, Baek Soo-jung arrived late and took Seo Ha-jin to a popular restaurant. She shared that her father had been hospitalized and she had been overwhelmed, thankful for her boss's help. Previously, Baek Soo-jung had cursed him as crazy, but now Seo Ha-jin sensed admiration and shyness in her expression, suspecting Baek Soo-jung had feelings for him. Baek Soo-jung claimed being single was more comfortable, but it seemed like she was hiding something. Following his grandmother's instructions, Ban Joo-yeon restructured the company internally. He issued an obviously flawed decision about a new store to test if employees would challenge him despite his status. Only Baek Soo-jung, unafraid of power, objected in the meeting and demanded a new plan. Ban Joo-yeon revealed his intentions, announcing that Baek Soo-jung was the only one who passed the test. He planned to speak with each of the others individually. Baek Soo-jung, surprised this was a test, felt uncomfortable and went to the rooftop alone. Ban Joo-yeon asked how he could help her feel better and what she usually did when upset. Learning Baek Soo-jung used to enjoy gaming but stopped after being deceived, he took her to an amusement park. There, unlike online games, there was no deception. They tried various activities, forgetting their worries while competing in games. Baek Soo-jung, unwilling to lose, grabbed Ban Joo-yeon's hand and asked for another round, then quickly let go, realizing her behavior. They both deliberately ignored this unintended intimacy. Soon after, Seo Ha-jin called Baek Soo-jung to invite her for a meal at her restaurant. Hearing that Baek Soo-jung was with her boss, she invited both of them, eager to meet this legendary boss. On the way to the restaurant, Baek Soo-jung's shoelace came undone. Just as she crouched down, Ban Joo-yeon also knelt down and began tying her shoelace for her. As they looked up, their faces were close together, creating a tense, charged atmosphere as if time had stopped, with only each other in their eyes. However, at that moment, Seo Ha-jin's call came inopportunely, warning Baek Soo-jung not to come because Black Flame Dragon was there. Baek Soo-jung pulls Ban Joo-yeon into a corner and pushes him against the wall, gasping heavily as she recovers from the shock of Black Flame Dragon's appearance. She explains to Ban Joo-yeon that she was once deceived by her first love and never wants to see him again. Meanwhile, Seo Ha-jin, who knows the secret, worries alone in the store. Black Flame Dragon is Baek Soo-jung's boss. Once their identities are known to each other, she is unsure what will happen next. Before parting, Baek Soo-jung gives Ban Joo-yeon a doll. Earlier at the amusement park, she noticed Ban Joo-yeon's interest in the doll. Although Ban Joo-yeon criticizes the doll as a replica, he gladly accepts it. Ban Joo-yeon insists on waiting with Baek Soo-jung for the bus. During their silent moments, the atmosphere turns ambiguous. When Baek Soo-jung boards the bus and leaves, both feel reluctant to part. Seo Ha-jin visits the company to find Baek Soo-jung and asks why she suddenly became close to her boss. Baek Soo-jung replies that after spending time together, she thinks the boss is a good person. Seo Ha-jin probes further, asking how she would react if Black Flame Dragon were also a good person. Baek Soo-jung, angered, says she doesn't want to hear the name Black Flame Dragon, calling him a hopeless guy who, even if he won a Nobel Prize, would still be a cheater to her. Just then, Baek Soo-jung receives a call from Ban Joo-yeon. Her tone softens, and after hanging up, she immediately sets out to complete the task Ban Joo-yeon assigned to her. Seeing her like this, Seo Ha-jin feels even more troubled. When Seo Ha-jin leaves, she sees Ban Joo-yeon at the ground floor with Kim Shin-won, which shocks her. Seo Ha-jin grabs Kim Shin-won by the collar and demands to know his relationship with Ban Joo-yeon and whether he knows who Ban Joo-yeon's first love is. Kim Shin-won recalls Ban Joo-yeon's troubled past, including being recommended by him to play a game and confessing to Strawberry, only to be humiliated by her. Despite Ban Joo-yeon lying about his age, Strawberry's harsh words that Ban Joo-yeon's existence is a mistake were too much. Seo Ha-jin analyzes from Baek Soo-jung's perspective, stating that liking a mature older brother figure who turns out to be a younger, immature boy is hard for anyone to accept. Baek Soo-jung's overreaction is understandable. Kim Shin-won is relieved that the two will never meet again. If they did, Ban Joo-yeon would definitely banish the other from his life. Seo Ha-jin cruelly reveals the truth. The two are now closely working together and have feelings for each other. Learning that Ban Joo-yeon's first love, Strawberry, is actually Baek Soo-jung from the company, Kim Shin-won is stunned. Fearing the consequences if they discover each other's identities, Seo Ha-jin and Kim Shin-won decide to do everything possible to keep them apart, preferably not working together. The next day, Kim Shin-won and Ban Joo-yeon rode the elevator together. They saw Baek Soo-jung approaching. Kim Shin-won quickly closed the elevator door. He then spread rumors to Ban Joo-yeon, claiming Baek Soo-jung was domineering and had a crush on someone. Ban Joo-yeon, who disliked office romances, considered transferring Baek Soo-jung. Unbeknownst to him, Ban Joo-yeon happily speculated that Baek Soo-jung might like him. After work, Baek Soo-jung was called to a bar by Seo Ha-jin, only to find it full of men staring at her. Realizing Seo Ha-jin wanted to set her up, she repeatedly refused. Back at the office, Baek Soo-jung learned that Kim Shin-won was secretly gathering information about her. She messaged him privately. Seconds later, Ban Joo-yeon heard employees discussing that Baek Soo-jung had gone to meet Kim Shin-won, possibly indicating her interest in him. Ban Joo-yeon found the cafe where they were meeting, saw them laughing together, and angrily left. Inside, the two were actually mocking each other. Baek Soo-jung confronted Kim Shin-won about his snooping, asking if he was interested in her. Kim Shin-won admitted his interest was not romantic. Meanwhile, a misunderstanding Ban Joo-yeon, at home reading comics, envisioned the comic's romantic leads as Baek Soo-jung and Kim Shin-won. Overwhelmed by jealousy and anger, he confronted Baek Soo-jung, asking if she liked Kim Shin-won. She explained that the meeting was due to Kim Shin-won's secret investigations. Relieved by the truth, Ban Joo-yeon relaxed and enjoyed junk food with her. As they parted, Baek Soo-jung asked what he would do if she really liked Kim Shin-won. Ban Joo-yeon replied he would persuade her until her feelings faded. The company wanted to source milk from a farm, but the farm steadfastly refused. Baek Soo-jung believed in a win-win partnership and decided to negotiate personally. She took a bus to the farm and met the farm's representative at the bus stop. Learning she was from Yongseong department store, the representative expressed his dislike for conglomerates. Just then, a car stopped, and Ban Joo-yeon got out. Before he could introduce himself, Baek Soo-jung quickly lied that he was her driver brother, dressed in borrowed clothes. Confused, Ban Joo-yeon stayed silent until Baek Soo-jung quietly informed him the farm representative disliked conglomerates, urging him to hide his identity. To get the ranch representative to agree to collaborate, Baek Soo-jung and Ban Joo-yeon stay and work hard at the ranch. The representative knows their intent and remains cold towards them. They approach him at the cattle pen, where Baek Soo-jung asks for a chance. Wanting to avoid entanglement, the representative, holding a tool, forces Baek Soo-jung to leave. She loses her balance and falls backward, but Ban Joo-yeon catches her, and both end up falling into the cattle trough. Reluctantly, the representative takes them home to clean up. Inside, family photos are displayed, and he shares stories about his grandson. Ban Joo-yeon admires the deep bond between them, contrasting it with the coldness between him and his grandmother. Baek Soo-jung learns the representative has been involved in charity work. She sincerely tells him that by partnering with Yongseong department store, the ranch could earn more and contribute more to charity. Her sincerity touches the representative, who sees their actions are not typical of conglomerates, and agrees to consider their proposal. That night, Baek Soo-jung and Ban Joo-yeon stay over, enjoying the stars. They share their past experiences and toast to having been deceived by their first loves and to the worst first loves. Baek Soo-jung suddenly receives a call from Seo Ha-jin, who is worried about their business trip together. Baek Soo-jung casually mentions that Ban Joo-yeon, 5 years her junior, is like a brother to her and not seen as a potential partner. Hearing this, Ban Joo-yeon feels hurt. When Baek Soo-jung returns, she finds Ban Joo-yeon sleepy and shakes his arm, suggesting he rest inside. Unexpectedly, Ban Joo-yeon pulls her close and kisses her, asking, "Do you still not see me as a man?" The kiss disrupts Baek Soo-jung's peace of mind, leaving her sleepless as she recalls their time together, convinced Ban Joo-yeon has feelings for her. The next morning they meet, and Baek Soo-jung, feeling shy, hears Ban Joo-yeon also slept poorly. She initially thinks he was excited from the kiss, but he explains it was due to being unaccustomed to the bed, which disappoints her. Feeling down, Ban Joo-yeon invites her to a spot. Her heart races, thinking he might confess his feelings. However, they just taste spring water, and he toasts her as a comrade in their work effort. Upset, Baek Soo-jung refuses his help and tries to fetch water herself, nearly slipping, but Ban Joo-yeon catches her. Their closeness creates a tense moment, and she hopes for more, but Ban Joo-yeon pushes her away. The ranch representative agrees to the contract, and they start their journey back. Ban Joo-yeon brought up the events of the previous day, causing Baek Soo-jung to nervously fan herself, thinking he was about to confess. However, Ban Joo-yeon only mentioned how tough her day had been and asked if she wanted to listen to his favorite song. As Ban Joo-yeon nodded along to the music, Baek Soo-jung felt disappointed. Her hopes dashed repeatedly. At Baek Soo-jung's doorstep, Ban Joo-yeon asked her to wait a moment, reigniting her hope. However, he merely handed her some side dishes from the farm representative. Unable to take it anymore, Baek Soo-jung demanded an explanation for the previous night's events. Ban Joo-yeon dismissed it as a minor mistake made while drunk, saying it wasn't a big deal. Baek Soo-jung, thinking Ban Joo-yeon was dodging responsibility, harshly told him she never saw him as a man. Back home, Ban Joo-yeon pondered why Baek Soo-jung was upset, feeling he should be the angry one since he didn't remember their kiss from the night before. He only recalled waking up on a bench with Baek Soo-jung gone. Baek Soo-jung, unable to calm down, called Ban Joo-yeon to question why he considered the previous night a mistake, when he mentioned she had been the one to drink with him and leave him outside in the cold, and that he wasn't dwelling on her mistakes. Baek Soo-jung realized he truly forgot the kiss, which upset her more than if he had pretended not to remember. Recalling the previous night, Ban Joo-yeon remembered Baek Soo-jung's call to Seo Ha-jin, saying she only saw him as a brother, not as a man. This deeply hurt him, prompting him to intensely work out, do countless push-ups, and try to enhance his male appeal by styling his hair in the bathroom. At work, Ban Joo-yeon asked Kwon In-kyung when she felt her husband was manly. From her answer, he deduced 3 ways to show manliness: displaying charm at work, spending generously on the other person, and being caring. To achieve these, he led his team on a patrol at the mall, confidently smiled in front of mirrors, tried to be charming at work, and took everyone to his family's hotel for a buffet, including a special arrangement of lobsters for everyone. Department heads noticed Ban Joo-yeon's exceptional treatment of Baek Soo-jung and mocked her for trying to climb the social ladder. Baek Soo-jung stated that she and Ban Joo-yeon were just superior and subordinate, not potential romantic or marriage partners. Overhearing this, Ban Joo-yeon criticized her lack of creativity as the planning team leader. Baek Soo-jung kept thinking about Ban Joo-yeon's words. In the restroom, she received a call from Seo Ha-jin about setting her up on a blind date. After hanging up, she casually mentioned she wouldn't go on the date. A colleague overheard the word blind date and loudly asked if she was going. Before Baek Soo-jung could explain, Ban Joo-yeon, hearing the commotion, quickly came over to question if she was really going on a blind date. Before she could answer, Kwon In-kyung reported that the chairman was looking for Ban Joo-yeon. On the way to meet the chairman, Kwon In-kyung informed him that the chairman might publicize his identity, and from then on, he would need to devote himself to work as the chairman does. Feeling bitter, Ban Joo-yeon reflects on his past with Baek Soo-jung and her recent words. He decides to withdraw his feelings for her and focus on his work as his grandmother advised. Baek Soo-jung seeks advice from a colleague skilled in relationships, asking what it means if a man kisses a woman while drunk and then pretends to forget. Her colleague suggests the man might be too scared to confess, so he pretends to forget the kiss. Baek Soo-jung, thinking this might be true, goes to Ban Joo-yeon's office, hoping to find out if he doesn't want her to go on blind dates. Ban Joo-yeon counters, saying he trusts her not to let romance affect her work and doesn't care if she goes on dates. Not giving up, Baek Soo-jung further asks why he advised her to avoid Kim Shin-won. Ban Joo-yeon explains it was just friendly advice from a superior. He then reveals he called her in to inform her of a raise approved by the chairman, recognizing her good work. This news unexpectedly makes Baek Soo-jung feel worse. That evening, Baek Soo-jung returns a romance comic given by Ban Joo-yeon, ringing his doorbell to confront him. In anger, she mocks him for his childishness in reading comics, saying it's why he doesn't seem like a real man and deserves to be dumped by his first love. Hurt by her words, Ban Joo-yeon retorts that it's Baek Soo-jung who needs to be more discerning to avoid being deceived again. Both are left feeling upset. In frustration, Baek Soo-jung calls Seo Ha-jin and agrees to go on a blind date. Seo Ha-jin and Kim Shin-won are thrilled, thinking they no longer need to worry about her relationship with Ban Joo-yeon. However, Kim Shin-won feels a bit sad as he can no longer use this as an excuse to see Seo Ha-jin, who reaffirms that she won't date him. Returning home, Kim Shin-won finds his ex-girlfriend waiting to apologize for impulsively breaking up and hopes for his forgiveness. Kim Shin-won, having fallen for Seo Ha-jin and experiencing love for the first time, rejects her. Baek Soo-jung meets her blind date, a handsome man, but she keeps thinking of Ban Joo-yeon. At work, she acts coldly towards Ban Joo-yeon and keeps her distance. When her date picks her up after work, Baek Soo-jung glances at Ban Joo-yeon, who is shocked but has to leave with his grandmother for a charity dinner. There, someone compliments him as his grandmother's successor, but she publicly states that no one can automatically become her heir. Ban Joo-yeon feels suffocated by the oppressive atmosphere. A wealthy young man who previously fell into water comes to provoke him, calling him his grandmother's dog who never dares disobey her. Furious, Ban Joo-yeon throws a drink on him and warns him not to mess with him when he's in a bad mood. After dinner, Ban Joo-yeon went to listen to his favorite band sing. He sensed these moments of indulgence were rare for him. Leaving the nightclub, he suddenly remembered that night. Stimulated by Baek Soo-jung, he drank heavily. When Baek Soo-jung returned, he kissed her. At that time, Baek Soo-jung was with a blind date who asked her to help choose clothes. However, she was suddenly pulled into a fitting room by someone. To her surprise, it was Ban Joo-yeon. Ban Joo-yeon told her that the kiss had been his first. Just then, the store clerk was frantically shaking the door. Baek Soo-jung's blind date was also outside, calling her name. In a panic, Baek Soo-jung pushed Ban Joo-yeon behind the door, opened it, and quickly pulled the blind date and the clerk to look at other clothes. Ban Joo-yeon took this opportunity to slip away. At the time of parting, the blind date still wanted to continue seeing Baek Soo-jung, but she refused. As she finished speaking, Ban Joo-yeon, now back in a suit, approached, claiming there was an urgent matter and asked Baek Soo-jung to leave with him. Privately, Baek Soo-jung criticized Ban Joo-yeon for being rude to her blind date and suggested he apologize. Ban Joo-yeon bluntly stated that he only regretted not kissing her and explained that the kiss was not a mistake. Baek Soo-jung understood his feelings, feeling somewhat flustered. Just then, Seo Ha-jin called. Baek Soo-jung used the prior commitment as an excuse to end the call. Seo Ha-jin sensed Baek Soo-jung's excitement, thinking her date went well, not knowing Baek Soo-jung was actually flustered over Ban Joo-yeon. Seo Ha-jin felt it was a pity when she learned Baek Soo-jung had rejected the blind date, who was older, had a stable job, and seemed ideal in every way. Although Baek Soo-jung disliked younger men with peculiar interests, she couldn't resist her feelings for Ban Joo-yeon. That evening, Baek Soo-jung received a message from Ban Joo-yeon asking when later would be. Happy, she forced herself not to reply or think about Ban Joo-yeon. Meanwhile, he kept checking his phone, comforting himself that they would meet the next day. At work the next day, Ban Joo-yeon looked around for Baek Soo-jung. When they finally met in the hallway, Baek Soo-jung quickly helped a colleague move items and left. In the elevator, when Ban Joo-yeon tried to speak to her, she loudly asked about a colleague's dog. In the restaurant, she handed her freshly served meal to a colleague, claiming she was eating out. Back at her desk, she created a folder called "You Are the Devil," listing Ban Joo-yeon's flaws to remind herself not to be swayed by him. Ban Joo-yeon, slated to inherit Yongseong department store, contrasted with her ordinary employee status. When they met at the elevator again, Baek Soo-jung instinctively turned to take the stairs. Ban Joo-yeon caught up, asking why she was avoiding him, and reaffirmed the kiss was not a mistake. Baek Soo-jung drew a line between them based on their statuses and questioned if he had the courage to hold her hand in front of everyone, including the chairman. He did not want to be fired, so they had to act as if nothing happened. Ban Joo-yeon held Baek Soo-jung's hand, trying to explain, but he currently lacked the means to defy his grandmother, and ultimately let go. Kim Shin-won, also in unrequited love, forced himself not to burden Seo Ha-jin by staying away, but his steps unconsciously led him to her shop. Feeling dejected, he sought out Ban Joo-yeon to share his feelings, understanding the helpless desire to be near someone despite knowing it was impossible. Ban Joo-yeon empathized, feeling the same way. The next day, Ban Joo-yeon and Baek Soo-jung met in the elevator. This time, Baek Soo-jung didn't avoid him, but took out her phone and arranged to have lunch with someone else the next day. Ban Joo-yeon asked if she was going to meet her previous blind date again. Baek Soo-jung, citing her privacy, refused to share details. The following noon, the persistent Ban Joo-yeon went to the restaurant to find Baek Soo-jung. He saw her fixing a man's clothes and immediately appeared. At that moment, Baek Soo-jung's father entered, curious why he was there. Her brother, learning that he was the boss who had paid for their father's medical bills, warmly greeted him. Ban Joo-yeon realized his mistake, explained he also had an appointment there, and casually stopped by. He then claimed his lunch appointment was cancelled and asked to join their meal. Baek Soo-jung mentioned they were meeting her brother's girlfriend, but her brother didn't mind an extra person joining them. At the table, Ban Joo-yeon praised Baek Soo-jung's performance at work extensively. Ultimately, her brother's girlfriend couldn't make it, and he became the center of attention, even insisting on paying the bill. Outside, her brother stopped him, sensing his interest in Baek Soo-jung. He reminded Ban Joo-yeon that Baek Soo-jung was their family's treasure and warned him against mistreating her. If Ban Joo-yeon was not serious, he wouldn't let it go. Ban Joo-yeon assured him of his sincere feelings. After the meal, Baek Soo-jung asked her father and brother to leave first. She then privately questioned Ban Joo-yeon about his reasons for being there. He confessed that he was afraid she might fall for someone else. Before Baek Soo-jung could respond, Ban Joo-yeon suddenly received a call from Kwon In-kyung, informing him that the chairman would visit his house in 2 hours to inspect, especially the study, which was off-limits to the cleaning lady, and reportedly had a camera installed. The chairman, suspecting something, decided to raid Ban Joo-yeon's house after the meeting and instructed Kwon In-kyung not to alert Ban Joo-yeon. Kwon In-kyung, feeling sorry, secretly called Ban Joo-yeon. Seeing his nervousness, Baek Soo-jung first calmed him down, then advised him to find a way to delay the chairman. The chairman, after finishing his meeting, was held up by Kim Shin-won with various invitations to eat or drink. Annoyed, the chairman quickly got rid of him and left in his car. On the road, Seo Ha-jin deliberately blocked the road with her truck to delay him further, but had to move aside after repeated urging. Soon after, the chairman arrived at the building. Ban Joo-yeon and Baek Soo-jung had already packed up important items and moved them. Ban Joo-yeon instructed Baek Soo-jung to stay inside and not come out. Ban Joo-yeon greeted the chairman, who looked around the study, which seemed normal. She approached a secret door, curious about any hidden secrets, but found a hidden family photo on the bookshelf. Knowing what the chairman cared about, Ban Joo-yeon had strategically placed the photo there. Assuming the photo was what he intended to hide, the chairman believed she had discovered his secret. Ban Joo-yeon apologized, saying she would be upset knowing he kept the photo. Despite this, he wanted to keep the photo with his parents. The chairman, resentful because she believed Ban Joo-yeon caused her son's death, furiously broke the photo and left. Baek Soo-jung, hiding in the secret room, overheard their conversation and felt sorry for Ban Joo-yeon as he picked up the broken photo. He shared that his actions had cost his parents dearly, he owed his grandmother, and he should compensate his elders. Even so, he couldn't give up his passions. Baek Soo-jung had comforted him by the fountain, encouraging him to freely love what made him happy. Inspired, Ban Joo-yeon boldly confessed his love for Baek Soo-jung, unwilling to hide his feelings any longer and eager to express his love. Baek Soo-jung silently returned home, sat on her bed, and reflected on her relationship with Ban Joo-yeon from their first meeting to the present. She decided not to run away anymore. She rushed to find him by the fountain and confessed her love for Ban Joo-yeon. He stepped forward and kissed her passionately, declaring that her love gave him the courage to face any crisis. In an unnoticed corner, a delivery box at Baek Soo-jung's house bore the name Black Flame Dragon. After confirming their relationship, Baek Soo-jung and Ban Joo-yeon reluctantly parted at her doorstep. Ban Joo-yeon lingered, and Baek Soo-jung wished to stay longer. Sensing his desire to hold her hand, she took the initiative and grasped his hand. Returning to her doorstep, Ban Joo-yeon found an excuse to continue talking. They resumed their walk, and Ban Joo-yeon inquired about Baek Soo-jung's relationship with Seo Ha-jin. She explained they met in a game, which Ban Joo-yeon guessed was the game where she met her first love. As they talked, a passerby approached, and they quickly separated. After the passerby passed, they held hands again, but did not continue the interrupted game conversation. Suddenly, a motorcycle passed by. Baek Soo-jung pushed Ban Joo-yeon against the wall, fearing recognition. Any noise made Baek Soo-jung hide immediately. Ban Joo-yeon pulled her up, informing her it was just a cat passing by. On their third departure at her doorstep, they finally said goodbye. Baek Soo-jung waved, but Ban Joo-yeon made a gesture she didn't understand. His message soon clarified that the gesture meant, "I love you." Baek Soo-jung sent a photo of herself making the same gesture in response, which made him laugh with joy. At a friend's wedding, Kim Shin-won unexpectedly met Seo Ha-jin, who was also a guest. Kim Shin-won was frequently asked why he broke up, while Seo Ha-jin became the focus of gossip due to her divorce. Both wanting to avoid disturbance, they found a quiet place to hide together. Seo Ha-jin shared that she and her ex-husband were classmates for many years and thought she knew him well. However, he cheated on her just 6 months into their marriage. Kim Shin-won sighed, lamenting that no one believed he was truly faithful and took his relationship seriously. He stared into Seo Ha-jin's eyes and confessed his genuine feelings for her. Remembering how often Kim Shin-won silently watched her at the restaurant door, Seo Ha-jin believed he truly liked her and invited him to sleep with her again. Kim Shin-won declined, stating he wanted a serious relationship, not just a physical one. Seo Ha-jin kissed him and agreed to date because she had also fallen for him. On an early weekend morning, unable to contain his feelings, Ban Joo-yeon ran to Baek Soo-jung's house, where her father saw him and warmly invited him inside. It was Ban Joo-yeon's first visit to Baek Soo-jung's room, where he wandered around. In contrast to her father's warmth, her brother disliked him and later pressed Baek Soo-jung, asking if they were dating. He cautioned her to think carefully, noting that as an heir, Ban Joo-yeon's family might not easily accept her, and he didn't want her to get hurt. Baek Soo-jung was briefly worried by her brother's words, but her romantic feelings quickly overshadowed her concerns. On Monday at work, Baek Soo-jung warned Ban Joo-yeon over the phone to be cautious at the office and not let colleagues notice anything. Ban Joo-yeon claimed he was an expert at hiding and wouldn't show any signs. They excitedly waved at each other in the lobby, but quickly suppressed their smiles when a colleague approached. In the elevator, Ban Joo-yeon sneakily held Baek Soo-jung's hand. When a colleague turned to talk to her, he quickly lifted his wrist, pretending to check the time. The colleague asked Baek Soo-jung if her blind date went well, making her extremely uncomfortable. She loudly declared she had decisively rejected him. The colleague continued, praising Baek Soo-jung's decisiveness and suggesting a gentle older man would suit her better, not someone from a prestigious family or younger men, especially those who forget a kiss right after. Angrily listening, Ban Joo-yeon was further irked when the colleague warned Baek Soo-jung against office romances. He retaliated by arranging for a male colleague to come to the office to shred documents. Seeing Baek Soo-jung printing materials, he approached her, trying to hold her hand when no one was watching. Baek Soo-jung, spotting an approaching colleague, quickly switched to emergency mode and loudly scolded Ban Joo-yeon for not knowing how to use the copier. During a break, Baek Soo-jung apologized to Ban Joo-yeon, but they were interrupted by another colleague. She asked Ban Joo-yeon to pretend to scold her, as it was the only way to explain their presence together. Unable to scold her, Baek Soo-jung took matters into her own hands and loudly reprimanded Ban Joo-yeon for being upset over a trivial matter. Once the colleagues left, Baek Soo-jung breathed a sigh of relief. Ban Joo-yeon was surprised by Baek Soo-jung's quick thinking. He suspected that Baek Soo-jung wanted to lash out whenever she saw him. He questioned if she preferred older men and still did not see him as a man. Baek Soo-jung explained reluctantly that her first love was a younger man, which was a part of her past she regretted. Therefore, she was cautious about dating younger men. Ban Joo-yeon reluctantly accepted her explanation. As he was leaving, he stole a quick kiss from Baek Soo-jung and asked her to agree to a condition. Baek Soo-jung, expecting a peculiar request, was surprised when Ban Joo-yeon just asked her to memorize names of some anime characters he liked. When work ended, Baek Soo-jung had prepared matching outfits. They changed and went to the riverside to relax. Baek Soo-jung recognized a song Ban Joo-yeon played, which Black Flame Dragon also liked. She mentioned she used to love the song because it was related to her first love, but had stopped playing it. Ban Joo-yeon, jealous, noted that although Baek Soo-jung said she disliked her first love, he still occupied much of her time. He wanted to make her fall in love with the song again, this time with him. Meanwhile, Kim Shin-won learned about Ban Joo-yeon's relationship and asked who it was. Ban Joo-yeon smiled sweetly, but did not answer. Kim Shin-won recognized the familiar smile from when Ban Joo-yeon had declared his liking for the online friend, Strawberry. He was sure the person Ban Joo-yeon liked was Strawberry, who is now Baek Soo-jung. He shared this with Seo Ha-jin, who worried that knowing each other's past identities might devastate them. Kim Shin-won hoped they would never discover each other's past. Baek Soo-jung went to report at work. Ban Joo-yeon, pulling Baek Soo-jung aside, asked when she started liking him. Baek Soo-jung recalled their history and admitted she first admired his work competence and gradually realized he didn't mind her assertiveness. Ban Joo-yeon turned on his recorder, letting Baek Soo-jung continue. She laughed and said his computer password was hilarious, which made her think he was adorable. Ban Joo-yeon, disliking the term adorable, insisted he was handsome, not cute. After their conversation, Ban Joo-yeon went to survey a project. Tired from the day, he was eager to see Baek Soo-jung. She soothed him to endure a little longer. They would meet tomorrow. Unable to wait, Ban Joo-yeon fabricated a reason to visit her, claiming he needed a comic book from her house that evening. Previously, to avoid his grandmother's inspection, he had moved some important items to Baek Soo-jung's place. Understanding his intent, Baek Soo-jung went to the storage to retrieve the comic book. While searching, her foot hit a suitcase containing a familiar item. When Ban Joo-yeon finally arrived at her doorstep, he greeted her excitedly. Approaching, he noticed Baek Soo-jung holding a necklace he once wore. Baek Soo-jung seriously asked him if he was Black Flame Dragon. Baek Soo-jung finds it hard to accept that Ban Joo-yeon is the Black Flame Dragon. As a child, her mother was ill, and her family faced financial struggles. Her father was too busy earning a living to care for her, leading to her often being unable to pay for school materials and meals. She was mocked as a beggar by her classmates, causing conflicts. It wasn't her fault, yet the other parents irrationally blamed her as the source of the problems. Watching her kind-hearted father apologize deeply affected her. Baek Soo-jung silently vowed to become strong and never let anyone bully her or her family again. After her mother's death, this belief strengthened. She was determined to support her family and take care of her younger brother. For years, the only person Baek Soo-jung trusted and relied on in the gaming world was the Black Flame Dragon. She could never have imagined that this dependable figure was actually Ban Joo-yeon, a childish teenager in reality. Feeling betrayed, Baek Soo-jung returned to her solitary life until she met Ban Joo-yeon, who brought warmth back into her life. However, she could not accept that he was the Black Flame Dragon. Seo Ha-jin was troubled, feeling that continuing to hide the truth would hurt Baek Soo-jung and Ban Joo-yeon more. She decided to reveal the truth to Baek Soo-jung, who had already figured out the fact herself. Distressed, Baek Soo-jung did not want to see Ban Joo-yeon. Just after saying this, Kim Shin-won brought Ban Joo-yeon in. Baek Soo-jung asked to speak with him alone, and bluntly stated she could not accept him as the Black Flame Dragon, and decisively suggested they break up. Ban Joo-yeon, looking through their past messages and photos, struggled to accept their breakup. The next day, they met at the company where Baek Soo-jung returned to treating him with formal respect as a subordinate to a superior. Ban Joo-yeon called her to his office under the pretext of work, clearly stating he did not accept the breakup, and apologized for previously hiding his age, asking for another chance. Baek Soo-jung, convinced they had both caused each other pain, felt they could not continue together. She might have easily forgiven him if her feelings for the Black Flame Dragon had stayed just a game. However, she had invested genuine emotions and trust, which were deeply hurt. Thus, regardless of their past, they could not start over. Post-breakup, Baek Soo-jung went to Seo Ha-jin's restaurant and ordered the spiciest dish, attempting to numb her pain with the heat. Strangely, she could not feel the spiciness, as if her grief had numbed her sense of taste. Meanwhile, Ban Joo-yeon drank with Kim Shin-won, realizing that Baek Soo-jung was also deeply hurt by their initial romance. He despised his past self that had caused her pain and sobbed drunkenly in bed. Suddenly, a rumor surfaced online claiming that Ban Joo-yeon, the heir to Yongsong department store, was about to marry. The woman was not from a wealthy family, but one of his subordinates. The post included a photo of Ban Joo-yeon having a meal with the woman's family. Upon learning this, Ban Joo-yeon immediately instructed Kwon In-kyung to have the public relations team handle the situation, wanting to avoid any trouble for Baek Soo-jung. The news spread quickly within the company. Baek Soo-jung noticed her colleagues looking at her strangely, but did not know why. During a meeting, other team leaders mocked her for finding a rich man. Ban Joo-yeon entered the meeting room in time and sternly warned everyone to only discuss work in the office. After the meeting, Baek Soo-jung returned to her team and saw her team members looking at the news and crying. She then realized what had happened. The team members felt sorry for her, as people online accused her of being vain. Even though her relationship with Ban Joo-yeon was not as the rumors suggested, Baek Soo-jung felt guilty. But given her strained relationship with Ban Joo-yeon, she found it inappropriate to explain further to her team members. The company president also heard the rumor and insisted on firing Baek Soo-jung to avoid any stain on Ban Joo-yeon's reputation. Ban Joo-yeon argued strongly, emphasizing that Baek Soo-jung was a key employee and hard to replace. Seeing Ban Joo-yeon defending Baek Soo-jung, the president threatened that she could stay, but if anything similar happened again, she would handle it personally. To protect Baek Soo-jung, Ban Joo-yeon immersed himself completely in work, trying to fill his thoughts with job responsibilities and avoid anything related to Baek Soo-jung. Baek Soo-jung sensed something was off and asked the president if she had made things difficult for Ban Joo-yeon. She offered to explain their relationship herself. Ban Joo-yeon declined her offer, stating they would no longer have any relationship or personal interactions, which he found comforting. This was what Baek Soo-jung had initially wanted, but now she felt a deep sense of loss. After work, as it began to rain heavily, Baek Soo-jung ran to a convenience store to buy an umbrella. A song that she and Ban Joo-yeon had once listened to together played in the store, bringing back memories. She realized she couldn't forget everything about Ban Joo-yeon and returned home. Devastated, for the first time in years, she cried in front of her father and brother, admitting she was not as strong as she thought and couldn't let go of Ban Joo-yeon. Afterward, Baek Soo-jung found herself uncontrollably watching Ban Joo-yeon, although he dedicated himself entirely to work, seeming to live only for his job. One time, when Baek Soo-jung went to report to Ban Joo-yeon, she found him asleep at his desk. She compassionately reached to support his face, but withdrew her hand just before touching him, realizing that despite their spoken intentions to keep distance, both were suffering. Due to overworking, Ban Joo-yeon fell ill at home. Baek Soo-jung noticed his absence at work and lied about needing his signature on a document to inquire about his whereabouts from Kwon In-kyung. Kwon In-kyung told her that Ban Joo-yeon had been skipping meals and working continuously, so he had taken sick leave. Baek Soo-jung was worried about Ban Joo-yeon's condition. She told herself someone would take care of him and maybe he just needed some rest. However, her logic could not suppress the urge to see him. The thought grew stronger, and unable to resist, Baek Soo-jung hurriedly bought medicine and rushed to Ban Joo-yeon's house. Unbeknownst to her, Kwon In-kyung was monitoring her at Ban Joo-yeon's doorstep. After seeing her enter, Kwon In-kyung immediately called the president. Inside, Baek Soo-jung found Ban Joo-yeon unconscious on the floor. She quickly moved him to the bed. Watching him sleep, she felt remorseful, realizing she had previously only considered her own feelings, neglecting the hurt caused to Ban Joo-yeon. As she was about to leave, Ban Joo-yeon suddenly grabbed her wrist, pleading with her to stay. He sat up and shared his feelings. He had always longed for someone to love the real him, without any pretense. Baek Soo-jung had given him that love, so she should not feel sorry. They confessed their love for each other, followed their hearts, and embraced and kissed, showing their deep love for each other. However, they were unaware that the president had already had Ban Joo-yeon's belongings removed and had fired him. After Ban Joo-yeon recovered, Baek Soo-jung prepared to say goodbye. Just as the elevator doors were closing, they reopened, and Ban Joo-yeon, unable to suppress his feelings, embraced Baek Soo-jung tightly, unable to bear the thought of being apart and hoping to be together always. Baek Soo-jung caressed his face and kissed him lovingly. The next morning, Baek Soo-jung woke up in Ban Joo-yeon's arms and hurried back to her own home, trying to sneak into her room before her father noticed. However, her father caught her, and she had no choice but to confess to reuniting with Ban Joo-yeon. Her father expressed concern about the disparity in their family statuses, but ultimately chose to respect Baek Soo-jung's decision, promising to always support her. When Ban Joo-yeon entered the company, he received a call from the Secretary General informing him of his dismissal. Shocked, he quickly went to the president's office, knelt down, and explained that he had always lived according to the president's wishes. Except this time, he wanted to follow his heart. He promised that being with Baek Soo-jung would not affect his work, and vowed to work even harder. However, the president was adamant, seeing their relationship as a stain on the group and berating Ban Joo-yeon as unworthy and defective. Baek Soo-jung hurried to the headquarters to find the president, but saw Ban Joo-yeon looking distraught as he left the president's office. She felt deeply for him, but did not approach. She waited until dark without seeing the president. With no other option, she went to find Ban Joo-yeon. Upon seeing her, Ban Joo-yeon smiled weakly and optimistically held her hand, happy that they could now openly date and pursue his hobbies. After reassuring Baek Soo-jung, Ban Joo-yeon went to see Kwon In-kyung. Ban Joo-yeon knew Kwon In-kyung was always loyal to the president. He believed Kwon should not make a hasty decision to leave the company. Kwon In-kyung shared her deep admiration for the president, which started when Ban Joo-yeon's parents died. She saw the president's resilience and deemed her trustworthy. However, she also knew Ban Joo-yeon's preferences well: his dislike for coffee, his fondness for chocolate milk, his occasional visits to shows, and his frequent toy purchases. Kwon In-kyung did not report his relationship with Baek Soo-jung to the president because she too was swayed by emotions, happy to see Ban Joo-yeon with someone he loved. Ban Joo-yeon bowed deeply to Kwon In-kyung, sincerely thanking her for years of care. The next day, Baek Soo-jung went to work and, worried Ban Joo-yeon might be bored, advised him he could go upstairs to read comics. Ban Joo-yeon joined Baek Soo-jung's brother for a meal at home. Her brother was relieved they were back together, not wanting to see his sister cry again like she did over the black flame dragon. Ban Joo-yeon realized that both times Baek Soo-jung cried deeply were because of him. He vowed to protect her at all costs. To keep busy, Ban Joo-yeon helped Baek Soo-jung's father fix things, showing a humble attitude in front of his father-in-law and brother-in-law. Then, he volunteered to cook, impressing them with his culinary skills. Both quickly started calling him son-in-law and brother-in-law. Seeing the family so happy, Ban Joo-yeon felt a warmth he hadn't experienced since his parents' death. Baek Soo-jung's father, learning of Ban Joo-yeon's past, felt sympathy and warmly invited him to stay overnight. That evening, the three men slept together. Baek Soo-jung, knowing Ban Joo-yeon was just outside, was restless in bed. She then messaged him, and they sneaked to the attic to read comics. Ban Joo-yeon excitedly shared his favorite stories with Baek Soo-jung. The next morning, Ban Joo-yeon took Baek Soo-jung to work. He knelt down and carefully tied her shoelaces, vowing never to make her cry for a third time. However, as soon as Baek Soo-jung arrived at the company, she received a personnel transfer order. She was reassigned to work as a maintenance worker in the repair department. Her team members expressed their dissatisfaction, believing the rumors about her and Ban Joo-yeon were false and that she should not suffer such unfair treatment. Baek Soo-jung honestly told everyone that she and Ban Joo-yeon were dating. She calmly packed her things and accepted the company's arrangement, knowing it was the president's command intended to push her out. Despite this, she believed it was not the right time or way for her to leave. The male employees in the maintenance department were displeased about a woman being transferred there. Just then, a machine malfunctioned. After everyone failed to find the issue, Baek Soo-jung stepped forward and fixed the machine. She showed her electrician certificate, proving her worth through her actions. Kim Shin-won, seeing Baek Soo-jung's situation, felt indignant. Knowing her character, he knew she would not usually tolerate such treatment. However, this time was different. Baek Soo-jung was willing to endure because she had someone she wanted to protect. She believed Ban Joo-yeon would return to the company and asked Kim Shin-won not to tell Ban Joo-yeon about her situation. The president, seeing Baek Soo-jung's resilience, openly stated her desire to drive her away and hoped she would leave the company voluntarily. Baek Soo-jung responded calmly, questioning whether blaming everything on Ban Joo-yeon would truly bring peace of mind. She stayed because the president was Ban Joo-yeon's only relative, and she knew Ban Joo-yeon longed for the president's love. Thus, she was willing to wait for his return and help mend their relationship. Ban Joo-yeon rushed to the company and saw Baek Soo-jung moving items with the maintenance workers. Seeing her attire, he felt guilty for involving her and blamed her for not sharing the truth and enduring such unfair treatment. Baek Soo-jung asked Ban Joo-yeon to respect her choice. She believed that only by staying could they have a future. She wanted to earn the president's recognition rightfully and be with Ban Joo-yeon openly. Seeing Baek Soo-jung's determination, Ban Joo-yeon decided to make his own choices for her sake. Previously, Ban Joo-yeon and Baek Soo-jung were in charge of a renovation project that had reached its signing ceremony. An employee reported that the president needed to check the situation outside. Suddenly, the crowd in the venue began to stir. The doors slowly opened, and Ban Joo-yeon, dressed in a sharp suit, walked in assertively and announced his name to everyone. Ban Joo-yeon, with Kwon In-kyung's help, discovered that the new minister hired by the president had a criminal record. They rushed to the signing ceremony and informed the president that the new minister had resigned. This person had not only faked his educational credentials, but was also involved in a fraud case. After revealing this, Ban Joo-yeon asked the president to reconsider his decision to fire Baek Soo-jung and to assign him the Yongseong department store renovation project. Given the circumstances, he was the only suitable candidate who didn't need an evaluation. The president compromised and agreed to reinstate both Ban Joo-yeon and Baek Soo-jung. However, he set a strict condition. If the renovation failed, Ban Joo-yeon would have to forfeit his assets and name and leave South Korea. After the ceremony, Ban Joo-yeon happily shared the news of their reinstatement with Baek Soo-jung, but concealed the harsh condition. He told her that if the project failed, they would both be fired. Baek Soo-jung believed him and promised to complete the project excellently. Back in the team, They discussed the renovation and planned a pop-up event for children during the Christmas season, choosing some animated characters. When an employee misinformed about One Piece, Ban Joo-yeon quickly corrected him, surprising everyone with his knowledge. He claimed he had done his homework, but only Baek Soo-jung knew the real reason. It was to fulfill Ban Joo-yeon's fan wish. She suggested using One Piece for the event. After the meeting, employees gossiped about Baek Soo-jung and Ban Joo-yeon, noting they didn't seem like a couple. Seeing everyone gathered, Ban Joo-yeon thought they were talking about him and loudly stated his dislike for One Piece, only to find out they were inviting him to lunch. Ban Joo-yeon treated everyone to steak. While cutting the steak, he attempted to feed Baek Soo-jung, but switched to a male colleague when he noticed everyone watching. That evening, the couple worked overtime. Ban Joo-yeon sat at Baek Soo-jung's desk, holding her affectionately. He knew she had chosen One Piece for him, and she gently stroked his head, wanting him to be happy. Recently, Baek Soo-jung noticed Ban Joo-yeon was stressed due to the upcoming event. After learning about the president's condition from Kwon In-kyung, she confronted Ban Joo-yeon at the event, upset that he was bearing such a burden alone. Ban Joo-yeon explained that he hadn't told her to keep her at the company without worries. Afterward, Ban Joo-yeon led Baek Soo-jung to a piano. Baek Soo-jung had once mentioned wanting to learn to play, and now he had the chance to teach her. She was touched that Ban Joo-yeon remembered something she had mentioned offhand while gaming years ago. Ban Joo-yeon felt incredibly fortunate to have reconnected with Baek Soo-jung and fallen in love. He moved closer and gently kissed her. The next day, while inspecting the mall, Ban Joo-yeon saw a little boy nearly collide with a girl carrying hot food. He quickly pulled the boy away. The boy was scared and began to cry on the ground. The boy's parents then accused Ban Joo-yeon of pushing him on purpose and recognized him as the heir to Yongshong department store. Ban Joo-yeon patiently explained and suggested checking the surveillance footage to clarify the situation. But the parents persisted. Someone maliciously edited the footage of Ban Joo-yeon arguing with the boy's parents, falsely accusing him of tripping the child. As the controversy grew, several planned pop-up events were canceled, and even the author of One Piece sent a termination email. To resolve the crisis, Ban Joo-yeon, under his alias Black Flame Dragon, made a phone call. Soon, he met with the author of One Piece. It turned out that Ban Joo-yeon had been supporting children who loved One Piece under the name Black Flame Dragon for years. The author was grateful and had long wanted to meet him. Ban Joo-yeon explained that due to his unique position, he had to hide his love for One Piece. He spent his days in loneliness and anxiety, with the ongoing story of One Piece giving him hope for the future. The author, moved by his words, addressed him by his real name, Ban Joo-yeon. Previously, Baek Soo-jung had contacted the author to ensure the pop-up event could proceed and mentioned that Ban Joo-yeon was a devoted fan of One Piece, sharing the sentiments he had just expressed. The author agreed to let the event proceed and admired Ban Joo-yeon for having such a loving girlfriend. Ban Joo-yeon shared the good news about the event with Baek Soo-jung, but felt down, thinking he had promised to be her support, but always ended up making her worry. Baek Soo-jung gently reminded him that years ago, they had agreed in a game to support each other and never feel alone again. That night, Baek Soo-jung stayed over at Ban Joo-yeon's place. Watching her sleep, he felt immense happiness. However, he saw a message on Baek Soo-jung's phone from a former colleague who had moved to the US. The colleague admired Baek Soo-jung's skills and invited her to work in the US, cautioning her that staying at the company might lead others to see her only as Ban Joo-yeon's girlfriend, overlooking her own abilities. Baek Soo-jung hesitated, but ultimately said she had no plans to leave. Her colleague urged her to reconsider. The next day, Yongshong department store's renovation reopening took place, and the scheduled pop-up event for One Piece fans occurred as planned. Long lines of fans formed, and Ban Joo-yeon publicly revealed for the first time that he was a fan of One Piece, sincerely thanking others who shared his passion for attending the event. The president criticized him for behavior unbecoming of an heir. This time, Ban Joo-yeon stood his ground, telling the president that he had previously hidden his personal preferences just to gain approval and affection. But it had not worked as hoped. From now on, he intended to live according to his true desires and said the president could fire him if desired, but he hoped Baek Soo-jung could stay. At that moment, Baek Soo-jung was suddenly surrounded by reporters asking about her relationship with the third-generation chaebol. Overwhelmed, she did not know how to respond. Ban Joo-yeon quickly came to her rescue and led her away from the crowd. However, the video of Baek Soo-jung being interviewed still spread online, with many maliciously slandering her, claiming she used her looks to get close to the wealthy. Ban Joo-yeon saw these rumors and felt guilty, thinking he had caused her trouble. That evening, he went to Baek Soo-jung's place, struggling with his emotions, and told her she could leave any time if she wanted. He hoped she would go somewhere her talents could be fully utilized, rather than staying and facing defamation that erased all her efforts. Baek Soo-jung reminded him that if she left Korea, it would be hard to say when she could return. Ban Joo-yeon appeared unconcerned, reassuring her not to worry about him. Seeing this, Baek Soo-jung promised to consider it seriously. Ban Joo-yeon gave her some time off to think. That night, Ban Joo-yeon suggested they go to the river the next day. Baek Soo-jung responded that she was busy. Ban Joo-yeon received no reply to his messages, but he overheard an employee talking to Baek Soo-jung on the phone. The employee noticed Baek Soo-jung had read, but not replied to Ban Joo-yeon's messages, and teased that Ban Joo-yeon might have upset her. Ban Joo-yeon stubbornly thought Baek Soo-jung was busy talking to that employee, so she hadn't responded. But then, a female employee walked in, and Ban Joo-yeon clearly heard her talking to Baek Soo-jung as well. He then realized Baek Soo-jung was genuinely ignoring him. He quickly informed Kwon In-kyung of this urgent situation, asking for help to analyze Baek Soo-jung's current mindset. After hearing what Ban Joo-yeon had said to Baek Soo-jung the night before, Kwon In-kyung pinpointed the problem. Ban Joo-yeon's words had sounded like he was dismissively urging Baek Soo-jung to leave without any attachment. Ban Joo-yeon blurted out that he had planned to leave with Baek Soo-jung, realizing in horror that he had forgotten to tell her this crucial detail. He rushed to Baek Soo-jung's home, only to be told she was at his house. Ban Joo-yeon immediately headed back to his own home. Baek Soo-jung had retrieved all her treasured items from her attic and redecorated the house. When Ban Joo-yeon embraced her tightly, he quickly explained that he wanted to go to the US with her. Baek Soo-jung had already guessed this, and explained that she hadn't replied to the messages because she was busy tidying the house and preparing a delicious meal to surprise him. Ban Joo-yeon was delighted to see that Baek Soo-jung had made a one-piece themed meal for him. He kept praising the taste, although Baek Soo-jung nearly spat it out after trying it. Baek Soo-jung then announced her decision to stay at the company, and Ban Joo-yeon agreed to respect her wishes. The next day, Baek Soo-jung's family went to pay respects to her mother. As they were leaving, they coincidentally met Ban Joo-yeon, who was also there to honor his parents. Baek Soo-jung kindly joined him in the ritual, and Ban Joo-yeon, who used to visit secretly alone, was happy to have her by his side. Meanwhile, Kwon In-kyung encountered the president at the company and courageously shared her thoughts. Over the years, the president had been harsh on Ban Joo-yeon. However, upon reflection, it was actually Ban Joo-yeon who had been supporting the president. Desperate for familial warmth, Ban Joo-yeon had stayed by the side of the president, his only relative. The president, recalling her harsh treatment of Ban Joo-yeon, felt a deep regret. She visited Ban Joo-yeon's home, admitted her mistakes, and acknowledged that Ban Joo-yeon needed love more than anyone. Regretting not giving him the care he deserved, moved, Ban Joo-yeon cried like a child, finally receiving his grandmother's recognition and love. Afterward, Ban Joo-yeon enthusiastically invited Baek Soo-jung's team for a meal, proudly claiming his role as Baek Soo-jung's boyfriend. After dinner, they went to a KTV. Ban Joo-yeon chose a song he had once sung in front of Baek Soo-jung, but she, not wanting to relive that past discomfort, secretly switched to the next song. After a drink, Ban Joo-yeon sang passionately and later complained that Baek Soo-jung had stopped him from singing the original song. Baek Soo-jung quickly offered him chocolate milk to cool off. Although he accepted it happily, he still looked slightly annoyed. Baek Soo-jung kissed him, and he finally rested contentedly on her shoulder and closed his eyes. Baek Soo-jung noticed the recording function on Ban Joo-yeon's watch and, out of curiosity, played it back. It recorded his thoughts from the time he met her until now. Touched by their shared memories, Baek Soo-jung recorded a message herself. The next morning, Ban Joo-yeon woke up to her compliments on his looks in the recording and couldn't help but laugh joyously in bed. Baek Soo-jung also wanted to find a hobby of her own, just like Ban Joo-yeon. She tried tracing and knitting gloves, but gave up due to a lack of patience. To help Baek Soo-jung relax, Ban Joo-yeon took her and the now official couple, Seo Ha-jin and Kim Shin-won, to a bed and breakfast. Baek Soo-jung presented Ban Joo-yeon with a scarf she had knitted herself. As if in response, the first snow of the season suddenly fell. Overcome with emotion, Ban Joo-yeon confessed his feelings, remarking on the beauty of the first snow and his beloved. Upon returning to work, Yongseong department store held a shareholders meeting. Unexpectedly, Baek Soo-jung's father appeared there. Baek Soo-jung explained to Ban Joo-yeon that since she joined the company, her father had been buying its shares whenever he had spare money. Thanks to the success of the renovation project, the share price had increased, and her father had made a considerable profit, becoming a shareholder himself. As the president approached, Baek Soo-jung's father intended to support his daughter, but the president apologized to Baek Soo-jung first. The president expressed acceptance of Baek Soo-jung as his granddaughter-in-law, but emphasized that she must still prove her abilities at work. At the shareholders' meeting, Ban Joo-yeon was officially appointed as a director of Yongseong department store. Soon after, Baek Soo-jung received a promotion from team leader to department head. The couple, who worked hard side by side, went to a rock concert after work. Immersing themselves in the excitement, Baek Soo-jung decided not to exhaust herself searching for a hobby anymore. She wanted to cherish every beautiful moment with Ban Joo-yeon. The couple wore matching outfits for a photo shoot. Ban Joo-yeon carefully arranged the photos next to a family portrait. From then on, Baek Soo-jung was not only the love of his life, but also his family. While walking, they witnessed a marriage proposal. Baek Soo-jung stopped to watch. Seeing her interest, Ban Joo-yeon, unable to contain his excitement, took out a necklace he had prepared and asked Baek Soo-jung if she would accept it.